Am I the asshole for suggesting to my boyfriend's ex that their kids should live with us? My boyfriend, Jack, and I have been together for 5 years. Jack's daughter is 12 and his son is 14. I met them 2 years ago and I see them about 5-6 times a month. Jack shares 50-50 custody with his ex-wife, Lauren. They rent a house for the kids, so the kids never have to move, great for them. He spends a week at the house with them, and the next week living with me. I recently suggested to Jack that his kids should come live with us during his week. Jack agreed, and we asked Lauren about it. Lauren and her family were very against it. Lauren told us she might challenge Jack's custody over this. My suggestion came up because Jack and I have decided to move to another country in 3-4 years. We have great career opportunities there, combined income will increase by at least $200,000, and better growth. But his kids will stay here. Lauren won't move with us, and she shouldn't feel obligated to. This is why we're not moving now. We want to be here with the kids for as long as we can. May be important because our friends questioned it. Jack and I don't think 15 is too young to be away from your parents. We both left our families when we were 15-16 to attend school in another country, so waiting until his daughter turns 15 seems reasonable to us. I suggested this because the kids, Jack, and I are our own family too. I'm not their bio mom, but we still share a strong bond. Also, while we can afford the rent, we could also use that money elsewhere. The kids are now old enough to remember and grow through travel experiences, so we'd love to take them on more trips. We can also put that money towards saving up for them. Lauren is against it because moving in with us will mean the kids need to move every week. An obvious solution is if both boyfriend and I live in the kids' house, but Lauren said no. She doesn't want me in her space, even if she's not there when I am. She's fine with Jack taking the kids to our house though. Another solution would be increasing the time I spend with the kids, but it doesn't really work. They have busy lives between studying, extracurriculars, spending time with their friends, and I have to draw the line somewhere too. I have my own life, as much as I love them. For example, I watch their sport practices almost every week, but not every other evening like Jack does, during his week. I mostly see the kids when they're at our house, but this is why we suggested they live with us. Are we being selfish to uproot the kids? Our friends are quite torn over this, and we don't want to bring this up with the kids yet, in case we keep the current arrangement. We'd love to hear your perspective. Thanks for reading this long post. Edit. I have a long work shift ahead and won't check comments for the next 10-12 hours. Thank you everyone who contributed. I am thankful for your perspective and understand a lot more reflection and thought is necessary. A few things that repeated in the comments. Lauren has her own house that she lives in when she's not with the kids. She won't have to move if we stop renting the kids' house. Lauren is servicing a mortgage for her house. She knows we're leaving and has said she won't continue renting the house after we leave. We're not saving any money by not renting the house. Jack will continue to contribute the same, if not more, to child support, but the money will go towards the kids directly. The kids know we're leaving 3 years later. The reasons are complex and personal, and while mutual, our move is more for Jack. I mentioned financial opportunity, which is a part of it, but we cannot really avoid leaving for other reasons. Him leaving during that year is in the original custody agreement. Priorities-wise, it's true that I prioritize my career and hobbies over the kids. At the same time, I often drive 2+ hours to attend the kids' events after a 10-hour workday, night. And drive back to sometimes continue working. The kids live in our city, but their events are far. I am tempted by the ease of all of us just living together. I'm not their bio mom, but they do still call me that, and I consider them my kids. My thought process was, since they'd have to move out in 3 years, why not now so they can spend more time with us as a family of 4? The money we pay in rent will also go directly to them for the kids. That's 3 more years of savings they'll have in their bank accounts. I am reflecting on how selfish it is to impose this change on the kids' lives just so us adults can simplify the logistics. At the same time, Jack and I are still considering the value of keeping a house just for the sake of having a physical location, especially when there are other factors too. All of your comments will stick with me for a long time. Thank you for your insights. Info. What does the kids want? Have you asked them? Info. What exactly is your complaint? Because you said she doesn't mind if the kids go to your home. She just don't want to give up the apartment her and the father of the children agreed to keep. You are the asshole. You're just the girlfriend. Be careful what you're doing because if the kids find out and they prefer the mom, They might hate the dad and you in the process. The reason Lauren doesn't give a shit of your suggestion. First, they have a working custody. And two, she know you're the one who suggested it, and how dare you to come in and have a say on their dynamics. You are the asshole. Why change the living arrangement if you are leaving in 3 years? Keep it stable for the kids for as long as you can. They will be able to cope better when they are 15 and 17, and not 12 and 14. I don't really see benefits to moving them into your house other than saving on rent. You are the asshole. You are only looking at everything that benefits you. You are making a lot of assumptions how the kids will feel about it just because you felt a certain way about something. Am I the asshole for telling my wife we're not going to pay our fair share for her parents' assisted living? This whole situation has gotten way out of hand to the point everyone is yelling at everyone and I'm sleeping in the guest bedroom. My wife's parents are at the point in their lives where they can no longer live by themselves. Their children decided the best place for them is an assisted living facility. They started to look into different facilities, and admittedly, I didn't help because I figured the 5 adult siblings could handle it and I was never close to my in-laws. They found one that was perfect and my wife was very excited when she told me about it. I was less than thrilled when I found out our contribution will be roughly $3,000 upfront then $5,000 a month. I immediately questioned why it cost roughly $15,000 upfront fee and $25,000 a month for 2 people in an assisted living apartment. I admit I sarcastically asked if their apartment is next door to Elon Musk's parents'. She then told me that we're going to cover the lion's share of the costs because we make more than her siblings. That was the beginning of a week of texts, phone, and in-person arguments. She argues that her siblings make less money combined than we do and some are single so it would impact them more, thus so it's only fair we pay more. She also argues that this facility is not the best or most expensive, it's a mid-tier one with the best ratings. According to her, anything lower have bad ratings and could put her parents' safety in jeopardy. My argument is that there are 5 siblings so the cost should be divided equally between the 5 of them. I also argued that if 5 people can't afford that place, they need to lower their standards. That started a circular argument for hours between cost and safety. I couldn't take it anymore and in the heat of the moment, I yelled, "We don't make more than your brothers and sisters. I make more than all of you, which is why you all want me to cover the cost for your parents." That was the beginning of my nights sleeping in the guest bedroom. I know as a married couple I shouldn't consider mine and yours income, but realistically I do make more than all of them and I think it's unfair to make me pay the largest portion. What do you all think? Update. I'm going to answer some questions. 1. I assumed it was $25,000 a month because I assumed it was split 5 ways between the siblings and our share was $5,000 a month. It'll be closer to $10,000 a month and our share is $5,000. 2. Her parents have assets including a house, so I was told they don't qualify for government assistance. I brought up the idea of selling their house but was shot down immediately. The siblings want to keep the house in the family because their great-grandfather built it or something. 3. I can afford to pay it but I don't want to based on principle. Their division means I'll be paying $5,000 a month while the youngest brother will be paying only $300 a month and will be living in the house. Their thinking is that he'll be paying the insurance and taxes on the house so he can't afford more than $300. Not the asshole. Understood that you're married. But unless this expectation was clearly communicated to you before getting married, you are not responsible for her parents. Let your wife and her siblings figure it out. What can the siblings afford with everyone making an equal contribution? That's the nursing home price you need to look at. Do your in-laws have any wealth? House, investment property, savings, pensions? Those resources should be exhausted before anyone pays a penny. If you overpay and your in-laws do have assets when they die, are the siblings going to give you a significantly higher inheritance? I think not. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You could rent then a feckin' house with a live-in aid for less than that. Do you have kids? I hope you're not taking away from their future cause your in-laws won't pay their fair share. And P.S., thus is the first time I'd go with your and my finances. But then you'd be stuck with everything else. Not the asshole. If there are 5 siblings it should be divided equally between the 5. It's not your responsibility to foot the bill, and your wife should have discussed this with you first. Money coming in belongs to both you and your wife as a whole. As such, you get a say on what expenses you're willing to have. She can't decide something by herself that will affect both of you financially. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my wife's parents not to speak in their native language in my house? My wife, 32F, and I, 34F, have been together for 6 years now. Her parents have made it clear that they don't approve of our relationship, they are pretty traditional and such. Also, I feel that they personally dislike me, and they don't agree with a lot of our life choices and worldviews. My wife has not been very close to her parents since she moved out, mostly because of all these huge differences in their values and beliefs. Anyways, this doesn't really bother me because I never really see my wife's parents, and they do treat me civilly on the few occasions that they talk to me. My wife was also not close to them either, until recently, and she'd talk to them on the phone a few times a year, tops. She had said sometimes that she felt sad about it, but that it was basically inevitable. But in the past 6 months or so, they've been reaching out to her seeming to want to rebuild their relationship. My wife was happy about this and they do seem to be connecting, even though they'll never agree on a lot of things. Then my in-laws asked if they could visit us for a week. I wasn't really happy, but I didn't want to make it an issue, because I get how much this means to my wife. So they came and they've been here for 3 days now. This is already more time than I've spent with them in the past 6 years and I hate it so much. They are truly unbearable. They have made pointed remarks about our dogs making the house dirty, fur on the couch won't kill anyone, me wearing oversized t-shirts and not dressing respectfully when around them, and commented about 10 times that the house feels so empty without children. They've been pressuring us to adopt since we can't, properly, have children. But one of the things that really bothers me is that they often speak to each other in their native language, when I am in the room. I am positive they are discussing me. They never do this around my wife, either because she can understand them. This is what makes me feel uncomfortable. It's only ever when I'm alone with them. And I work night shifts several days a week, so I'm alone at home with them during the day a lot. So I asked them if they could please talk in English when I'm around. They didn't say anything to me, but my wife told me later that they'd complained to her and that they were very angry. Apparently they think that I'm trying to disconnect my wife from her heritage. Like, no, I'm not. They disconnected her from her heritage, by pressuring her to conform to their expectations of their culture and cold-shouldering her when she didn't agree. They really gave her a tough time when she told them that she didn't want to be religious anymore. So I don't think I'm the asshole for offending my in-laws. But this is now straining the relationship that my wife is trying to build with her parents, so I feel guilty that I'm being selfish and not prioritizing her feelings more. She wants me to apologize to her parents. I said I wouldn't. Am I the asshole? Let them speak their language, but get your wife to teach it to you so that you can hear what they're saying and talk to them. Telling someone to not converse in the language they're most comfortable in is not the way. They suck for being rude to you and your wife, but that doesn't mean you need to be rude back. Not the asshole. If they truly only do it when your wife isn't present, it's clearly an attempt to snub you. Not the asshole. It's your house and it is disrespectful for them to talk in their language when they can speak English around you. I wouldn't apologize to them. From the sounds of it, they have been rude from the moment they arrived to you. Not the asshole for the fact that they're only doing this when your wife is not around. It's a simple and reasonable ask for them to speak English, or whatever, when they're around you in your home. Spot all the monolingual people here. You are the asshole. You don't get to dictate what language people speak when they are talking to each other. Am I the asshole for telling my brother he walked himself into hole and having little sympathy for him? Throwaway account. I, 24 male, have a brother, Dave, 30 male, who is engaged to Tanya, 36 female. Now I love my brother, I do. Although if I'm being honest, Tanya is way out of his league. She's successful, has 2 bachelors and a master's, owns her own 5-bedroom house, 2 cars, speaks 3 languages, and is pretty stylish. I honestly don't know how Dave landed her, but proposing was one of the smartest things he could have done. After they got engaged, Dave moved into Tanya's place, and in her bedroom closet she has this custom-made safe. The only reason I even know about the safe is because Dave told me and a few of his friends about it when we were out at a bar. I would have wrote it off as an interesting but unnecessary fact that I didn't need to know. One of Dave's friends, however, Carl, 30 male, started to subtly probe for more information. Like, how big is the safe? What's in it? Is it one of those fancy voice-activated ones? Etc. Dave admitted to not knowing, and when asked, Tanya said that it did have important documentation, some cash, etc. But refused to let him see or give him the passcode. Big mistake confessing that because almost everyone started giving Dave a hard time about Tanya not giving him the code, telling him that since they were going to get married he would be entitled to know, and even helped him come up with strategies to get Tanya to give in and give him the code. I spoke up a couple of times saying this didn't sound like a good idea, but was shut down because I wasn't in a relationship. Fair enough. So I left it alone. Cue the fights between Dave and Tanya about lack of trust, no honesty, and what if there was. Eventually Tanya agreed to give him the code, but under the promise that he would only ever go in there if Tanya passed before him. Dave felt like such a big man when he told us how he won, and when he invited us all over to his place. Tanya was out of town. Carl and a few others started giving him a hard time again, thinking that he lied about Tanya not giving the passcode and wanted him to prove it. Dave eventually caved to the pressure and took everyone upstairs to open it. I stayed downstairs, but I was told what happened. When Dave opened the safe, the only thing that was in there was a note inside saying that if he ever confronted her, Tanya, about this, then the relationship would be over. No room for discussion. Carl and the others ragged on him and Dave kicked them all out while I stayed to help clean up. Dave kept ranting about how hurt and embarrassed he felt and calling Tanya manipulative, and how toxic she was for setting up secret texts. Dave asked me what I thought about it and was shocked when I calmly said he had it coming. He allowed himself to be bullied by his friends to reveal potentially sensitive information, and seeing as how this place is in Tanya's name and that she's making him sign a prenup, I wouldn't test my luck if I was him. Dave called me the asshole. Am I? Not the asshole. Your brother chose to push this issue with his fiancée and then betrayed her trust by going back on his promise to her to only open it after she passed. He played a stupid game, won a stupid prize, and is mad you aren't telling him otherwise. Not the asshole. He is throwing out all of these comments about no trust, etc. But he didn't trust her. He played a stupid game with his mates and he won a stupid prize. Not the asshole. Dave was a selfish coward. He valued the opinion of his drinking buddies more than his relationship with the woman he's planning on spending the rest of his life with. He's lucky Tanya didn't dump him already. Not the asshole, it's her safe and her stuff. He had no right to demand access to it. Sounds like his friend was planning on stealing from her. Let her know what he's done. She deserves way better than his selfish, toxic Not the asshole. He let himself be peer pressured into opening the safe. He pressured his partner for the codes. This situation is one of his own making. You weren't there because you wanted no part of it, and rightfully so.